Good evening and welcome to Politics Tonight. I am WGN-TV political analyst Paul Lisnick. So glad you joined us for our nightly look at politics here in the city, around our state and the nation. Tonight, my guests are recently elected Alderman-elect Will Burns from the 4th Ward and Alderman-elect Ameya Pawar, who pulled off the biggest election upset in the history of the city in the 47th Ward. I'm sure you're going to have many questions to ask them, and our phone lines are now open. And we welcome your calls at 877-358-CLTV. That's 877-358-2588. If you prefer, you can just send us a question on Facebook, facebook.com/Politics Tonight. But first, here's what's happening in Politics Tonight. Republican leaders in Congress say they won't let the government shut down despite its budget crisis. The government is scheduled to run out of money Friday. This year's deficit is forecast to surpass $1.6 trillion, but Democrats are resisting Republican demands for deep spending cuts. So Speaker John Boehner says the House will pass another short-term spending bill. Illinois Senator Dick Durbin says budget cuts by the House of Representatives might cost the state nearly 1,500 science research jobs. Durbin thinks the $1.1 billion cut to the Department of Energy could impact the Argonne and Fermilab national laboratories.
A long-term economic problem. We don't need to make cuts today that will kill jobs, kill research, and kill the competitive edge that America needs to succeed in the 21st century.
Durbin admits cuts need to be made, but he doesn't believe scientific research is where they should happen. Mayor Daley met with Mayor-elect Rahm Emanuel for breakfast today. The meeting was not on either man's public schedule, suggesting it was intended to be private. Well, until they were seen, of course. During the meeting, the two talked about the pending transition of power. The two reportedly discussed the challenges facing the city and agreed to work together on the transition process. Daley voted early, and he was out of town on Election Day, opting to stay out of the public eye as Chicagoans went to the polls to pick his successor. Emanuel will take over as mayor in May. One challenge both Daley and Emanuel are currently facing is what to do with Chicago Police Superintendent Jody Weiss in his position. Weiss's contract expires tomorrow. Daley handpicked Weiss to take control of the police department in 2008. Weiss, a former FBI agent, has been unpopular with the police union in the understaffed department. Daley has yet to ask Weiss to stay on after his contract expires, but he says he doesn't expect there to be a problem because it's only for a couple of months. Emanuel says he wants a new police leader focused on community policing. And we finally know who was behind the notorious Mayor Emanuel Twitter account. It's Dan Sinker. He's a journalism teacher at Columbia College. His followers totaled more than 39,000 on the fake account, much more than the real Emanuel's account. Sinker posed as Rahm Emanuel and satirized the mayoral race with his tweets, often laced with vulgarity, mocking Emanuel's fiery reputation. During the campaign, the real Emanuel pledged to donate up to $5,000 to the charity of the mystery tweeter's choice if he agreed to come forward. Well, Professor Sinker, have you named your charity yet? It's got a nice donation coming to it from the mayor-elect. All right, our phone number again, 877-358-CLTV or 877-358-2588. We look forward to your calls, all your messages on Facebook. Let me introduce you to my guests who are here tonight, both victorious in the recent elections. Here joining me in the studio is Ameya Pawar, and I got to tell you, actually Ameya Pawar, I want to get that right, so let's say that right. He's the new alderman-elect in the 47th Ward. The area covers Lincoln Square, North Center, and boy, what an upset he pulled by beating the machine candidate, Tom O'Donnell. We're going to talk to him about that. Also joining me over at Trib Tower, Will Burns. Knew him over in Springfield, where he's been for years, but he was the hand-picked successor for the 4th Ward, Tody Preckwinkle's ward. Now she, of course, serves on the Cook County Board as its president. Gentlemen, welcome to both of you. Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ameya, let me start with you. And look, big surprise. I mean, everybody, Tom O'Donnell in that ward had the support of Tom Dart. He had worked for the sheriff, and of the former alderman, Gene Schulter, and of Rahm Emanuel. And some would say you came out of nowhere to beat him. But I know you didn't come out of nowhere. You were already a candidate in that race against Gene Schulter. So talk about how things shaped up for you.
You know, we announced 15 months ago. This is before, Mayor Daley said that he would not seek re-election. This is before Alderman Schulter decided not to run again. We were running a grassroots campaign based on good public policy, and the idea was to build a constituency around that. So, over the past 7 or 8 months, I've knocked on 80-85% of the doors in the ward by myself. at the very end, we got a lot of community support. And if you go back in time, 2-3 weeks before the election, we had dozens and dozens of volunteers, all of whom were ward residents.
Ameya, when you first ran, I mean, even you admitted you knew your chances were slim, and you were running against Schulter. And let's be honest, if Schulter had chosen to run, it's likely he would have won. Am I right? The reason you were really running, not so much to get an upset vote as you got, but really to send Schulter a message and to tell him that there's a certain agenda you wanted him to stick with. Now it will be your agenda.
Yeah, again, the idea here is these local elections are nonpartisan. We just wanted to talk about good public policy. We knew what our chances were, but we thought that, by going door to door and by running a grassroots campaign, you never know what could happen, and we ended up getting 8,000 votes.
One other question about maybe some unexpected support. I read in the New York Times you had sort of a relative of a very famous person behind you in this campaign. Does the name Rumsfeld ring a bell?
Yeah, Marcy Rumsfeld was an incredible volunteer. She did, she knocked on doors. She worked the L-stops. We had a number of people from the community help us. So, I mean, she was one of the great volunteers that we had.
All right. She, of course, is the daughter of Donald Rumsfeld, used to be a congressman from this area, and lives in your ward and was there to help you. That had to be good. Will Burns, you spent many years in Springfield, and by the way, in the 4th Ward, I sort of mentioned, it includes Kenwood, Oakland, parts of Hyde Park. But, Will, when we talk about who comes from your area, the name's incredible. And I'm going to just toss a couple out. Louis Armstrong came here from New Orleans. Muddy Waters, great blues artist. Not to mention, of course, Harold Washington, Tony Preckwinkle, even President Obama. You've got some pressure on you in that ward, don't you, Will?
Well, it's a great ward to represent, and the people who live in the 4th Ward are very intelligent voters. They pay attention to the issues, and they want to make sure that their elected officials and their elected leaders are up to snuff. One of the things I really enjoy about it is its great diversity. They're African Americans, white voters, Latinos. There's a tremendous amount of economic diversity as well, and it's a great ward. And I've been living there for a very long time, and glad that I earned the people's trust last Tuesday.
Now, you've been in Springfield for a long time, and I know you're outwardly a supporter of President Obama's policies, but some would say, well, look, you could do a lot more in Springfield for the state. Why kind of come home and take it so local and just want to work for the ward? Don't people usually go the other way?
Well, here's the thing. Tony Preckwinkle was a great alderman, and I live at the corner of 48th and Drexel, and I was concerned about, economic development, having places where people could shop, public safety, making sure we had good public schools. And if you really care about those issues, you get those issues taken care of at the local level. And that's why I ran for city council, and to work on the issues that we all care about in the 4th Ward in terms of our quality of life, but also to continue the tradition of standing up for progressive and independent politics in the Chicago City Council.
By the way, Will, you could have taken that, when Tony went to the board, there was a time you could have taken that position and been sort of, interim alderman for a period of time until the election. You chose not to do that.
Yeah, I talked to a number of people in the ward and obviously talked to the county board president, and we just felt that, if I'd taken the appointment, then the election would have been about the process under which I had received the appointment, and not about my qualifications to serve as alderman of the 4th Ward, or my vision for the ward, or the things I wanted to do to make our city a better place to live in. And I wanted to make that campaign about those issues, not about the appointment process.
All right, it makes sense. Well, we're going to talk to you about the issues that both of you are going to face as you enter the city council. My guest, Will Burns of the 4th Ward, Ameya Pawar, the new alderman for the 47th Ward. And we're going to take your phone calls at 877-358-2588. So stay tuned right here to Politics Tonight, only on CLTV. We'll be right back.